Okay, so today we're going to talk about something that's, well, it's really tough, and it's something a lot of people go through but almost never talk about. What do you do when you're expected to care for an aging parent, but your childhood with them was filled with neglect, or conflict, or even trauma? It's an absolute emotional minefield, but you really don't have to figure it out alone.
I want to start with this quote because, wow, does it get right to the heart of it. Do not light yourself on fire trying to keep them warm. I mean, that's such a powerful way to put it. It's this perfect reminder of the huge personal cost of sacrificing your own well-being, especially when that relationship was never built on love and support to begin with.
So that's the big question, right? When you're facing this incredible conflict, what are you supposed to do? How on earth do you make a choice that feels right without being totally consumed by guilt or resentment or just exhaustion?
To even begin to find an answer, we have to start by unpacking this core conflict. You've got this massive clash between what society tells you you should do and the very real, very painful reality of your own personal history.
Think about it. On one side, you have these powerful societal myths that are just everywhere. Good children take care of their family. You owe it to your parents. That caring for them is this beautiful, natural act of love. But for so many people, the lived reality is, well, it's the complete opposite. It's a history of pain. And being asked to be a caregiver isn't an act of love. It's an act that can be re-traumatized.
And this is not some small niche problem. We're talking about 53 million adults in the US who are caregivers. But here's the thing. While caregiving itself is common, the specific experience of caring for a parent who hurt you is this unique and incredibly isolating burden that, honestly, society just doesn't know how to talk about.
This really sums it up perfectly. The whole idea of family caregiving is supposed to be rooted in love. But what if your family experience wasn't? That expectation to suddenly switch gears and provide loving care can feel so invalidating. And it is so important for you to know that if you feel that way, you are not alone.
Now, those feelings of hesitation or maybe even dread, they aren't just feelings. They are real and they are backed up by a lot of research. So let's take a look at the actual measurable psychological toll this situation can take.
Okay, this might look a little complicated, but the message here is actually very simple and incredibly powerful. This model shows a clear, direct path. When someone has to care for an abusive parent, it often leads to lower self-esteem. And that drop in self-esteem is directly connected to serious mental health issues, like depression. So what this tells us is that protecting yourself isn't selfish. It's a psychological necessity.
And the findings are just so consistent. Study after study shows that if you experienced maltreatment as a kid, you are at a much higher risk for depression and anxiety if you become a caregiver. The act itself is linked to feeling more depressed and just getting less satisfaction out of life. And honestly, it makes total sense then that many estranged adults choose not to take on that role at all.
Let's just be absolutely clear about this. Your hesitation is not a moral failing. It is not cruel. It's a valid and, frankly, very smart protective response that your mind and body are giving you. So if that's the problem, then what's the solution? Well, one of the biggest traps people fall into is thinking that their choice is all or nothing. But it's just not true. You are not stuck between these two impossible extremes. You do not have to choose between sacrificing your entire life, your mental health, everything, or completely walking away and doing nothing. There is a huge middle ground. This slide is so important because it totally redefines what care can even look like. It's not just one thing. It's a whole spectrum. Yeah, on one end you have hands-on direct care, but you can also just provide remote oversight or coordinate logistics from a distance, or maybe you just help out financially. The key here, the really big takeaway, is that you get to decide where on this spectrum you are willing and able to be. So, if you do decide to be involved in some way, how do you do it without burning yourself out? You need a plan. So let's look at some concrete, practical strategies for protecting your own well-being. This is your self-protection toolkit. I want to highlight a couple of these. First, this idea of a contract with yourself. That just means you sit down before a crisis hits and you decide very clearly what you are and are not willing to do. Maybe it's one phone call a week. Maybe you'll handle bills, but not personal care. Get specific. And second, delegate. You don't have to do it all. Hiring people or asking others for help isn't weakness, it's a strategy.
And speaking of hiring people, one amazing resource is a geriatric care manager. Think of them as a professional problem solver. and, maybe more importantly, a buffer. They handle the day-to-day stuff, they coordinate services, they make sure your parent is getting what they need. And you get peace of mind while protecting your emotional space.
As we wrap this up, I really hope the most important thing you hear is this. You have permission. You have permission to make your own well-being the #1 priority in this entire situation.
I mean, listen to this quote. You are not obligated to step into a role that will re-traumatize you. Think about it. We would never ask someone to become the caregiver for a stranger who abused them. It shouldn't be any different just because that person happens to be your parent.
So here's the crucial point. It's so simple, but it might be the hardest thing to actually believe. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to decide that this is not something you can or should do.
And this is why. It's the classic airplane analogy, right? Secure your own mask before helping someone else. It's not selfish, it's physics. You cannot effectively care for anyone if you yourself are running out of air. Your mental and emotional health have to come first, period.
Ultimately, this isn't about paying back some debt from the past. This is about your future. So the final and really the only question you need to answer is this one. What is the choice, whatever that choice may be, that leads to your own peace and your own healing? That's the right answer.